Welcome to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
Hi, everybody. It's me, spiritual medium and psychotherapist and author Kellee White. And welcome to Ask Me Anything on March 19th, 2026. These are some powerful energies, aren't they? Lots to talk about tonight as we talk about trauma and karma. Lots to talk about. Now, I want to mention that I know my sound has had some issues in the last 2 or 3 weeks. My goodness, was a hardest hit Mercury retrograde that I have experienced. So now I have new one of these things with a microphone in it, and probably getting a new laptop also will help everything. So hopefully the sound I've tested it with everybody around, and hopefully the sound sounds good. Okay, let me just say hi to a few people, and then I'm going to have a lot to say about a lot of things. Let's see. Oh, and before I forget, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me say hi to a few people first. Hi, Melissa. Yes, not always using the specific term of karmic patterns emphasizes on shifting past energy. Yes, well, we're going to talk about that. Hi, Renee. We're going to get spring weather over the weekend. Actually, it was like -1 during the blizzard, and now it's going to be 74 on Saturday. I mean, talk about oddball shifts. I truly don't know what I'm going to wear because I have to go to Madison that day, to the Apple store too, and I don't know what I'm going to wear. I'm just not used to these kind of massive shifts like that, you know. It's always, what am I going to wear? Okay. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Laura. Hi, Ann Margaret. How you doing? Oh, my gosh. Thank you, Laura. I love this color. And turns out that these things were matching. Who knew? Hi, Julie. Hi, MGG. Sandy, it's over 100 degrees in LA right now. Dear God, that's amazing, Sandy. That's really amazing. I mean, especially for March. That's got to be some record or something. Wow. Hi, Rose. Hi, Jean. Thanks for sending sunshine. Hi, Michelle Kavanaugh. Oh my gosh, rocking and rolling with this energy. And I'm going to talk about that, Michelle. And before I forget, Snowy Owl Intuition or Snowy Owl. Michelle, put what you have up there, Snowy Owl, because she does an amazing card reading every 2 weeks. So this Sunday at like 7 p.m. Eastern time, Snowy Owl Intuitive Services, as I recall. And you can go to that, and she does a great card reading and a great meditation every other week. So shout out to you, Michelle. Sweet Cherry Wine. Hi, Lee Star. Hi, Gayla from hot Peoria, Arizona. Right. Oh, my gosh. Hi, Lori. Hi, Angelite. Hi, Evie. Hi, Rose. Hi, Carla. So, Carla, you and I are from around the same area here. You know what's going on around here. It's unbelievable, this weather. Hi, Sonia. Hi, Wendy. It's a while since you've turned into me. Yay. I'm so glad you guys are here. Dress in layers. Thank you, Carla. That's what Dawn told me. I will do that. Some weather shifts in Vermont, Lee. Oh, my gosh. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Leslie. Hi, Marilyn. Yeah, earthquake weather. It is, Sandy. In Los Angeles, we have this thing it was always like February, March, and then October. We used to call it Rocktober for earthquakes, especially when the weather went like crazy to that hot degree. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, Lori says, Kellee, last week and weekend, you had the same snowstorm. Yeah, that you had in North Dakota. And today it's 60 degrees and no snow. It's such crazy weather. Oh, my gosh. Glow says, while still alive on earth, if a soul clears karma, do you become conscious of it in your current human life? I think you do. And I will talk about that. Such a great question. I think what happens as you start to clear up a lot of the things, the lessons that you've learned, you start to get wisdom. Whether you recognize it as a soul clearing karma or not is one thing, but it's just the idea that you've taken responsibility for act and taken action in your life. That's the key to everything. Hey, Carlene and Debbie. Hi, Anna. Hey, Kim Ann. So let me talk about today let me get into the astrology first. Let me get into the astrology because there's a lot I want to say about about what's going on. I'm sure you guys have felt this energy. And again, all of March and into April, we're going to have some big energy shifts. And on March 20th, tomorrow, we have the spring equinox. It's a really powerful day because it symbolizes a powerful spiritual turning point. It represents actually the balance between light and dark, as renewal and new beginnings. And the themes around March 20th, the spring equinox, would be balance. Day and night are nearly equal. So it reminds us to balance our inner light and our shadow and work and rest. So it's renewal and awakening. It's known as a time of rebirth. The equinox marks the return of the sun, and it encourages us to shed old habits and awaken our spirits. So tomorrow's a very special day. In the middle of a shitstorm, it's still a very special time. Action and manifestation. So the start of this energy can bring a lot of bold energy to us. It also has a lot to do with growth and fertility, and it's a time for embracing your vitality. A lot of people will be starting, spring cleaning, or they'll be starting, not me, I won't be doing the spring cleaning, but a health routine. Health routine is always a big, big one here. And it's just an energy of vitality. So how do you honor this equinox? You can get very quiet. You can reflect on what do you want to grow in your life. You want to plant new seeds? What kind of ideas do you want to do? Those kind of things. Think like that. Another thing that we do on the equinox is that we release no longer if it doesn't serve us any longer, we let go of it. So it could be even during a spring cleaning where you're looking at things and going, I don't think I need this anymore. I think I want to let go of this. It was so funny. James called me on, was it Sunday or Monday? I can't remember. And he said, you know what I'm doing? And I said, I have no idea. And he said, I am getting rid of old pictures. And I said, really? He said, well, I'm keeping the ones of you. I said, oh, well, thanks. I made the list. Good. He said, I'm going through people and I'm going through pictures and things that, from years ago, he said, and I'm just getting rid of it. And it's a really powerful thing to do. So it also connect with nature. If it's warm enough for you, which it sounds like it's going to be warm enough for all of us, including here in Wisconsin, spend some time outside and witness the changing season. Maybe, you walk barefoot if it's warm enough, or notice a little green coming up if you're in the Midwest or in the East Coast, a little green of something coming up. It's really nice, but it's really a great day to practice balance of your mind and your body. It's a really good day. So on the 21st of March, we have Mercury that will be going direct, and it's in Vedic astrology, it's in Aquarius, and it's going to be conjunct Rahu. So let me explain this. So when Mercury goes direct, first of all, this Mercury retrograde has been a nightmare. I know more people that have struggled with sound and their computers and all kinds of issues. It's been a nightmare. So when a planet goes direct, particularly Mercury, but all planets, when they from retrograde go direct, that energy of that day is very powerful. It stands still. So it's more intense energy. And so on the 21st, it'll probably be a very intense day. I'm actually not going to buy my computer on that day because the energy is too intense. Even though Mercury will be headed direct, my rule of thumb for me, if I'm going to buy something of substantial nature, like a computer, I'm going to wait at least a good week for the energy to get straight, because this Mercury retrograde is a big one. But this particular one exposed a lot of things in the world. And we had been talking about that in the last several weeks. I've been talking about, like, at some point, some things will be exposed with this Mercury retrograde. And then the latest one, well, there were two latest ones that I caught. I don't watch the news that much, but I can't help but see certain things. The first one was about Cesar Chavez. And I'm from Los Angeles, and I remember very, very well when he began the whole farm workers movement. I remember it very well. I also remember at the time I was in college, and I remember there were rumblings of his nature, of what kind of a guy he was. But he had done a lot of work with this. So for the woman to come out today to really speak her mind about, at 96 years old, to come out, Dolores, to come out, was really amazing. It was amazing that she came out and talked about what he had done to her. I was blown away by that, just in awe of her strength, really in awe of it. But things that have been covered up or hidden will be exposed, and particularly when Mercury, as it's going direct, the energy gets more fierce. And the second thing was, which I never watched The Bachelorette, but I just found out that ABC had to cancel that one because of a domestic violence situation. I mean, whoa, that was a big one. So these are the kind of things that I'm talking about. And both Mercury and Aquarius also rule technology. And guess what else? The media. So the direct motion, when it goes direct with the Rahu conjunction, is going to supercharge this area. I mean, Cesar Chavez died in 1993. You think about it, like, whoa, go her. I was so impressed. I have to tell you, it was unbelievable. There can be rapid advancements in communication, and that will have a lasting impact on the collective. But this is such a highly charged period with communication that everything is going to accelerate quickly. And so there's going to be a powerful push, if you will, for clarity, which is really what we will be looking at. And then also looking at humanitarian causes. So it's kind of interesting to me, again, not kind of, very, that Cesar Chavez with the whole movement, the whole farm movement, was unbelievable. And then to have this situation happen, it's wild. So the Rahu conjunction needs careful discernment for a lot of things, because Rahu amplifies almost to an obsessive degree the energy around it. And so it has a lot of potential for breakthroughs, and it has a lot of potential for misdirection. So this is going to be a fascinating time to watch. So make sure all of your computer stuff is, well taken care of here, because again, we're not out of the woods with that. Now on March 25th, we have Saturn and the Sun conjunct at 11 degrees in Pisces in Vedic astrology. So the Sun represents the soul, it represents the ego, it represents purpose. And Saturn is the great disciplinarian, and it's karma. We're going to be talking about that today, and responsibility. So when two planets are conjunct at the same degree, the energies merge and then they influence each other. So this is considered, this conjunction of the Sun and Saturn, one of the most difficult of the conjunctions, because Saturn dims the Sun's light, and the Sun's brilliance agitates Saturn's more cautious, restrictive nature. So you might find yourself facing, this is on the 25th, situations that test your faith or your compassion or your ability to maintain boundaries. It's really a big one with this. So the lessons learned during this time, and it not just on that day, we're talking about probably for the next 2 weeks, I would put it. It brings a lot of energy to it. But the lessons that you guys will, and all of us, not you guys, I mean, me too, all of us learn will be profound and long lasting. And it often has to do with ego attachments. So watch that. And Pisces is really empathic. And this conjunction can bring a real heavy sense of responsibility or a burden, something like that. So again, leaders and governments, because it's the Sun, they'll face scrutiny, accountability, possibly. This could be a huge manifest as public discontent. And then also spiritual leaders are going to face a lot of challenges. And again, we can look at Deepak Chopra on that one. I mean, it's all playing out in real time here. So here we go. That's what I just wanted to talk about astrologically. And I have a good subject tonight. I love this topic tonight because before, I mean, I think it's a big one. Hold on a minute. Let me just get where I need to talk about this, because I think this is okay. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about trauma, and we're going to talk about karma. Okay, and not every struggle here is fate. It just isn't. And not every pattern is a past life karma. It's easy to say, oh, that's karma. Well, not everything is. Sometimes, what may be happening is there might be a nervous system conditioning or unprocessed grief you might have just trauma responses. And you also may have learned beliefs that are like running in the background, old belief systems. And when we label everything as karma, we give our power away because then it feels like something is happening to us instead of something that we can shift within us. So we're going to unpack tonight. Like I'm going to talk about karmic loops that repeat in relationships and family and life choices. And then I'm going to talk about also the difference between trauma versus karma. And, I don't want you to get stuck in that. So we're going to talk about these kind of things. So here we go. Because it's not about blame. Show is always about empowerment. So I want to talk first. I have a good story here, but karma essentially means lessons unlearned. Okay, so why am I having to relearn this? You haven't learned it yet. So I'm going to give you to me, a classic, hilarious moment of karma. I will talk about this one because this just happened. So I live in Wisconsin. For the people that are new here, I live in Wisconsin and it's in the Midwest. And we had a blizzard on Sunday and Monday. And when I tell you, it was a blizzard. I'm from Los Angeles, and I know when we heard about this blizzard that was coming for days. It was all over. Everybody was talking about the potential blizzard that we were going to get. So it wasn't like we hadn't heard about it. But I'm from Los Angeles. Even I know if I open the door or the window and I see tons and tons of snow and we've got a blizzard, I'm not going to get in my car and drive. Okay, I just know that. Period. Okay, so we had an experience the other day here. I belong to this thing on Facebook that is like a scanner, and it tells all the what's going on in the area of who's done what. With all kinds of things. Could be accidents. It could be anything. So we had a situation. I'll just say this, where two people literally went out and they were driving in the blizzard. Not a good situation. And so I'm going to read this to you because this was actually I'm still laughing about this because it was just unbelievable. So again, I'm from LA. I know not to go driving in the snow, not in the snow, in a blizzard. And it was a real blizzard, you guys. It was really bad. So I saw this on the scanner here, and it said, the highway department reported that two vehicles passed one of the plow trucks. So the plow trucks are what move the snow out of the way. Think of it as like Moses parting the sea. Okay. And both vehicles that passed the snow plow, two vehicles, they were in such a hurry to get somewhere, which we were told in Wisconsin, don't leave your house. Nobody's going to school. Unless it was a major emergency, you would never, ever, ever pass a snowplow. Okay. Even I know that. And these vehicles now ended up in the ditch. They ended up smack in the ditch in the middle of a blizzard. Now think about that. That is, to me, it was the dumbass thing that anybody could do. But it's like a Darwin Award. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a good one. In fact, there was a movie called the Darwin Awards, and my husband Don did the music for it. So it's a wild movie to watch. But anyway, some of the comments were so funny. One of them was about they had to get to Walmart, to buy cigarettes. And then somebody said, well, they don't sell cigarettes anymore at Walmart, which was even funnier, the whole thing. But my favorite, and this to me was like magic when I read this. A woman wrote this comment, and she said, they passed the snowplow like the laws of physics were optional. Now they're sitting in the ditch getting personally mentored by karma. I thought that was like the greatest line ever. My God, it still makes me laugh. I took a picture of that and I sent it to everybody I knew because I thought it was so damn funny. So that's an example of karma because they live in this area. You can't do this, and yet they did it. So they got smacked pretty hard. And I suspect they have done dumb things before. I'm just taking a guess. They were not hurt. They were pulled out. I hope they were shook up. That's just the dumbest thing I ever heard. But anyway, people do dumb things. So karma, again, it means unlearned lessons. But in Sanskrit, it means action or deed. And at its simplest, it's the principle that in an intentional action, whether it's a mental or a verbal or a physical, that have consequences that shape the future experiences. And that's why intent is everything. And you've heard James and I had talked about intent for a long time. Intent is everything. What is the intention? So the core idea is intention, like you have an intention, plus action, you're taking action, has a result. So what you do and why you do it influences what you and others will experience later. So it's not identical to fate. So karma describes a causal pattern, and it's not an unchangeable destiny. Okay, please know that. Present choices, making good choices, maybe repenting, not in the Catholic way, but having taking responsibility way, and a corrective action can alter the outcomes of karma. So an emphasis on intention, again, especially in Buddhism, the moral quality of an act depends largely on the intent. And it's not just the external deed. Okay. And time frame, traditions vary. Some consequences can appear very soon. I've known many people in their life, depending on where they are in the age of their soul, I guess, and how many lifetimes they've had and what they've learned. Sometimes the karma can be very quick. And sometimes you have no idea why you got whacked with something that may have happened 25 lifetimes ago. Okay. So again, consequences can appear soon or later in life or across lifetimes. And that could be a shocker when something like that happens, when you really have no idea why you were treated this way or that way or whatever. So, and also there's a moral and a practical function which encourages ethical behavior. So the thing about karma is it encourages you to, behave responsibly, do good things, take personal responsibility and learn from experience. These knuckleheads that were driving and ended up in the ditch, I hope they learned, I don't know. And maybe they were on drugs, maybe they were, drunk. I really don't know. But any which way you look at it, there's lots to learn for them to unpack there, if you can imagine that one. Okay. So, modern interpretation, if you will, of karma is it's often used psychologically for like patterns of behavior and consequences or lessons. So that's kind of important. And I want to make a caveat here. To use karma to justify or to blame victims, like, oh, they deserved it, is ethically and practically harmful. Please know that. So you have to really watch. I mean, I can talk about this from a distance when I talk about these people that were driving and just did dumbass things. But you have to really watch how, when you say something like that, because you could really do great harm to somebody. In that, you got to watch. If you say, "Well, you deserved it because of this," you got to be really careful with that kind of stuff. So, trauma versus karma, and I want to kind of help you understand the difference. And briefly, trauma and karma are different concepts from different frameworks. It's a psychological framework versus a spiritual framework. So trauma is a psychological and a physiological response to an overwhelming event that we are all at some point on earth going to have one or several. And it can be a single incident or it can be a prolonged incident. And it can have lasting distress and it can have lasting symptoms and it can alter the way you function. Okay, that's trauma. Karma is a spiritual, somewhat can be a religious, or it can be, but it's a spiritual concept, referring to actions and their moral consequences. And it can be, again, across this lifetime or several lifetimes. So trauma is framed by mental health science, and it's an injury to the nervous system and to the memory and to the emotional regulation. And karma is framed by ethical spiritual law. Like there's a moral thing here, the cause and effect that, and linking intentions and actions to future results. You really always want to make sure your intent is good for doing something. Okay. Trauma results from an external event that interacts with biology and development and perceptions, and it has to do with the brain and the body responses. Karma is explained again as a moral casualty, if you will. Good or harmful actions produce corresponding outcomes. Again, often tied to an intention. If you intentionally say, I am going to go hurt that person, that's an intent. That's why we're always like, take a breath, think first. Sometimes emotionally we all act out, but if you can, it's the best thing to do. So trauma's effects will unfold, as we've seen it with everybody I've ever seen. It unfolds in one lifetime, okay? And it can be, I guess it can also unfold in another lifetime if I really think about it. But usually, typically the trauma would be, there's trauma and then it unfolds within this lifetime. And you're addressing that, whether it's in therapy or with medicine, or you have social support, or you have some sort of healing that's going on through your trauma. But karma, again, it can be cyclical, okay? And it possibly can span lifetimes depending on a lot of things. So the whole idea here is agency and responsibility. And trauma emphasizes healing. It emphasizes empowerment, coping skills, responsibility, which is on the system here. It has helpers helping us, survivors helping us, the survivors, with recovery and not blame. Okay. And again, karma emphasizes a moral responsibility for your actions and then learning through your consequences. Again, these people that were, had to beat a snowplow, there were consequences. I'm sure they had to go to the hospital. I'm sure they, all kinds of things would have, their cars were totaled. A lot of consequences there. All right. So trauma treatment, like for trauma treatment, there's EMDR, there's somatic work, there's therapy, there's medication, there's community support, there's a safety and a stabilization. And again, a karma, the resolution may involve ethical action or spiritual practice, really inner transformation. You have to do a lot of inner work, and I've seen people that have had really horrific situations in their life that were ego driven and had to really take several steps back in their life and through many years go deep within. And that would be like, to me, a balance of karma there, just a balance, like a healing of that. So there's also an overlap of how people interpret, karma and trauma. So some people might interpret traumatic experience as a karmic lesson to make sense of the suffering. And, that could possibly provide a meaning to it depending on what it is, but it also risks implying that the survivor deserved harm. And it's very harmful if it's used as blame. Again, that's why you have to really watch it. And if I'm in a session with somebody and I think that it's a possibility that there will be karma, I might add that at the very end of a session. It's a possibility that that's here, but it may not be at all, but it could be a possibility. Again, it's just another lens to use things, which I think is always important. Trauma, when there's a trauma response to a situation or an event, it ignites your trauma and it can start it all over again. So is that karma? No. But what is your karma here is to understand or get to a deep understanding of the root of the energy that's being caused here. And then you can move forward. So I wouldn't call it karma. I would say, let's look at the root of what's going on here. Okay. Because I think that's really important. And, a question that I get asked often is like, why do some relationship dynamics keep showing up in my life? And we call that karmic loops in relationships. And it happens. And when the same relationship dynamic, whether, let's say, it's always attracting an emotionally unavailable partner. I mean, that's a big one. Repeatedly feeling betrayed. Let's say you have a partner or a friend. You're always betrayed. Okay. Constantly being the fixer. How many people out there are the fixer? Or do you find yourself in codependent patterns? Because this happens. And when this reoccurs, it's because you might be caught in some intricate interplay between unresolved trauma from this life and unresolved karma carried over from past lives. You see that? And so we look at trauma as the wound, like trauma in this lifetime. So it could be from a childhood blueprint, your earliest experiences, your family of origin. It creates a blueprint, if you will, of how we understand love and safety. And Shirley and I and Carrie talked about this the other day on our Tuesday show on psychology and the soul. So if you haven't listened to it, you should. It's got a lot of good information. But if you experience trauma like neglect or abuse or abandonment or enmeshment in childhood, those experiences leave a psychological and energetic wound. Okay, and unmet needs come in with that, and unconscious attraction comes with that, and learned patterns come with that. And as karma, as the lesson here, we look at soul contracts. From a spiritual perspective, some relationships are soul contracts and have real heavy duty karma to them. And these are situations with whom we may have unresolved business, unlearned lessons, or an energetic imbalance from a past life. Some people will say to me, you know, my first marriage was this and this and this, not good, and it was this and that. And then I literally met the person of my life. It has really changed everything for me. So you might have had to go through the first part of that in a relationship. So again, some people take it in the front end, some people take it in the middle end, but we don't escape the work that we've come to do here. And you know how I always say we wanted to be here at this time on earth? And I have said this ad nauseum, but the reason is because there are more opportunities to have a deep consciousness in this lifetime than probably any lifetime. There are more opportunities. You can get opportunities on social media. You can read something that might click in. There's just more help now. There's more expose of things, right? Things are more exposed. So think like that. I mean, the reason I think everybody wanted to be here in this lifetime was to clear up as much of their karma and much of their trauma that they would have as possible. So um, anyway, so karma is different here. It's different. So trauma often may act as a trigger, okay, within this lifetime that creates this psychological vulnerability. And while karma provides the script or the reoccurring energetic pattern that the trauma then activates. So the universe uses our current life wounds to present us with opportunities to heal deeper and to heal soul life patterns. So I think that's really important to remember. And a karmic loop in a relationship is a repetitive cycle. So it's a repeating pattern. You're encountering the same core issues, the same conflicts. They may look different, but it's the same issue, you know. I mean, the names and the faces change, and sometimes the genders change, but it's still, you've got the same story underneath that, right? And again, karma is an unlearned lesson. So the universe is continually, and your higher self, frankly, presenting you with an opportunity to learn a specific lesson, maybe to heal an old wound or to break a past life pattern. That would be the best, unbelievable when you do that. And when you do that, there is a knowing. There's a knowing. You still have to be on alert so you pay attention to your behavior, but there's a knowing that you cleared something up. I can't tell you other than it's like a feeling. It's a knowing that you have cleared up some karma here, and it's an energetic imbalance or an unresolved debt that you've from a past interaction that needs to be harmonized here. And you know when you meet somebody that you're thinking, no, I should not really do this, and you end up doing this, and that can cause a lot of problems along the way. So all of this calls for conscious choices. So the loop is so powerful, and that you've got to pay attention to your choices of anybody that you bring into your life. So it's an invitation actually to stop reacting from old karmic conditioning, which could be old traumas, in past life choices. I mean, instead you need to make really, really good, deliberate choices. And some examples of a karmic loop would be, are you always the fixer? Are you always the rescuer? And I know a lot of you are out there, codependency. That's a big one. Are you attracting unavailable partners because of you have your own fear of abandonment or, betrayals? I mean, you have to really look at betrayals here. You have to really learn to trust your own discernment. And to break free of this pattern, of these patterns, you have to develop self-awareness. And I always say, know thyself. You have to identify, if you will, the precise pattern. Journaling helps with this. Like, really, what am I attracting? And then what is the pattern here? And you can heal the trauma. Look at your traumas that you've had in your life. Address your past wounds, especially childhood trauma. You can do that through therapy, through inner child work, and a good somatic therapist really helps. And just know this, to me, everybody on earth has been hit with traumas. Everybody. We come to earth, we're going to have our traumas, and then we're going to work on healing so much of our lives here. And change your response. Instead of reacting in the old way, maybe choose a new something that's aligned with your soul response. And that's where free will, if you will, intervenes in destiny, because we do have free will. And I remember when I met my husband, Don, I remember there was a time I thought, no, I have some options here. How am I going to use my free will? What am I going to do here? And it was the first time I'd been in a relationship where I was conscious. It's a wild feeling, and it's a good feeling. And you can also, set boundaries. Set boundaries. My goodness. The number one on earth is to have boundaries. And especially as empaths, establish and enforce healthy boundaries. That's going to be huge. Again, you're trying to get conscious here. Raise your vibration, because as you heal and grow, your frequency changes, and then you attract a different type of relationship. So what does that mean, raise your vibration? It means stay conscious, stay very conscious, do good things in the world, go out in nature, be kind to people, raise your compassion. That changes your vibration. So anyway, in essence here, the karmic loop in relationship is a universe persistent, loving, sometimes painful way of ensuring your soul learns its necessary lessons here. So you're here to outgrow beyond outdated patterns. And that's really important that you look at all of that. So that's what I have to say tonight about relationships in karma and trauma. There you go. It was kind of a lot, but I have a lot to say. So before we go any further, I want to talk about, oh my gosh, I have a lot of things to say, but let's see. I wanted to share some really special things from my app, Whispers from the Soul. It's my app in my community. I have to take a moment, and I really want to talk about this. It's not just an app. It's a space that we've created together. And Whisper of the Soul is where so many of you are connecting on a deeper level. So if you want to join us, just go to my website and connect to Whispers from the Soul. Tomorrow I will be having my 5 o'clock somewhere. We do that at 5 o'clock Central Time every other Friday, and it's where we all get together. And it's a wonderful group. It's just a wonderful group. And inside of the community, I have daily destiny card pulls, daily. And I have daily affirmations to start your day grounded and aligned. I have a lot of spiritual insight in that and a lot of guidance. And it's a place where you're not alone. It's in what you're experiencing. So what makes it to me so special is it's a family. It's a family that's come together, and we all support each other, and we share and we grow, and we have really deep, meaningful conversations. It's just lovely. Anyway, if you're looking for your people, this might be it. So if you're already in the community, that's great. Tell everybody what your experience is like. So also, let's see, before I forget, I have from our app, we have a wonderful woman. Her name is Maggie, and she's amazing. And she's offering a Qigong class. It's called 8 Silk Weaving Practice. Now, I'm so excited about this because in our group, she offers it to our group about once a month. And it's extraordinary. If you've never practiced Qigong, it's amazing. But Maggie's approach to it is just so from the heart, and she's so bright, and she's so kind, and she helps us through these movements, and it's on Zoom. And so she's offering this. It's a beautiful qigong practice, and it's focused on cultivating, of all things, balance and vitality and inner calm. And after I've taken her classes, I am really calm and peaceful for a day or two. It feels so good. And it's perfect whether you are brand new or whether you've had experience. Dr. Shirley's going to do it today or on Sunday. She's signed up for the class. So it's this Sunday, March 22nd at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Now, she only has, it's limited to 12 people, and it's $20 worth every penny for an hour. And she already, I think she has 9 slots left. And if you can find how to get on this, is if you go up to my comment section, at the very top of the comment section, the very first comment in the comments has 8 silk weaving practice. And you can click on there and join us, because I think it's going to be great. It's just wonderful. It's just wonderful thing. And I have a class coming up with Janelle Campbell, which is, I love Janelle. She's an amazing medium and an amazing channel. And it's called Cosmic Origins, Awakening Your Inner Starseed. And this is on May 22nd. It's a Friday in the United States. It's a Saturday morning in Australia. It's like from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. I think that's the right time on May 22nd. But you may be a starseed. And if you've never felt like you belong here, you may be a starseed. So join me and Janelle for this 2-hour transformational experience. We're going to talk about what a starseed truly is. We're going to talk about archetypes and the cosmic origins, like a Pleiadian or the Arcturian, which is where I resonate, where I hail from. And she's going to do a guided meditation to connect you with your cosmic family. And she's also going to do a channel from the intergalactic realm. So please join us for that. And then, of course, the last thing I want to talk about is Psychology and the Soul, our new show with Dr. Shirley and Pellizzeri. And that's where we bridge the gap between psychological and spiritual, because that is where the understanding of both, to me, is where the true healing begins. And that's Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So join us. Okay, I have some questions here. I have some questions that I'm going to answer, and then I'll get to all the questions here. Carlene Reese, thank you for this question. She says, Kellee, it's a fascinating topic. How can we tell if it's actually karma from a past life? If one acknowledges past life choices, will it get better, or does it still have to play out? So a lot of time I see people struggling, and it's very clear to me, she says, that their negative thoughts are manifesting negative things to happen. First of all, that's absolutely correct. The more you think in negative thoughts, the more you will create negative thoughts. It's just the opposite. If you think in positive thoughts, positive things will happen. You'll handle the energies differently. So you don't know if it's a karmic thing while you're having an experience. You can almost feel like it is. Like certain relationships around you will feel very heavy or karmic, or certain, maybe a job you have might feel it. I remember I worked for Japan Airlines for 5 years. And I remember thinking that it was like a karmic, this was years ago. I was in my 20s. And I remember thinking it was a heavy duty energy. I was learning a lot. They were my best teachers. I learned so much. I was the only female and the only non-Japanese person in management. And I learned an awful lot, but it felt heavy duty karma there for me to do it. So you can almost feel it, Carlene. I think there's probably a lot of karma playing out all over, actually. So you just have to pay attention to it, see what you think. So Laura Crum says, does blaming of oneself and others have caused to a reoccurring pattern in karma? And yes, it does. It has its own energy. Blaming, the energy of blame, where you're not taking responsibility, or you're just the victim, you're just blame. It is a huge reoccurring theme. And it is something to really look at. Like when there's a situation, take ownership of what is yours. But there are people out there that will just blame. It's just a waste of energy, and it's almost poison to be around that. It just is. It's a drain, and we don't want any of that. So Laura says, does one's perspective on karma influence one to which one path walks? Yes, it does. And would this also include processing all in some what positive aspects versus a negative, but allowing empathy. So the question, does one's perspective on karma influence one to watch to which path they walk? Yes. So let's say you didn't believe in karma and you just, well, I would, well, like those people that were driving, they decided they ran right past Moses, the plow driver. I mean, think about that. Who does that? I mean, seriously? I can't say if they were young men and their brains weren't developed, because that doesn't get developed until they're, 28. But and that could have been it. But boy, they learned a powerful lesson here, a big one. So, but I think it does influence it. Like if you have an idea that there's intention, your intention's going to be good. So if you have an idea that there's karma out there, then that would mean that if you had the awareness of that, that you'd be aware that you'd make maybe better choices. So I hope that helps. And empathy is everything. I think empathy is everything that we need in life and more, and compassion and understanding. I think it's everything that we need here. Okay. Kim Ann says, Kellee, have you read Stripped Down by Bunny XL, the wife of singer Jelly Roll? I haven't, but I saw her on some things. And you talk about trauma. Yeah, I agree, Kim Ann. When I actually saw some of the things that she was working through, I mean, her background I was floored by it. It's a lot. While she is clear, it is clear that she's still working on a lot of it. It is amazing how far she's come. I mean, that really, I would agree 100%. It really is a textbook on what path a childhood trauma can lead a person down. She's a strong person, Kim. Really strong with this. Yeah. Well, P.S. The guy who was the worst of the abusers in her life, she calls him Karma. Oh, wow, Kim. Really? I'll have to read that. That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, there are some relationships that play out that way, but somebody's got to get healthy and go, whoa, I'm done, and change the script, get out of the situation. I think, and again, oh yeah, you heard Otis, yeah, barking. Yeah, the UPS guy was here for sure. Soul contract terminated, Ralph. Okay, well, we can do that too. Soul contract terminated. That's a good way to put it. It's done. It's complete. Actually, that's a really good way to put it. It's complete. That's almost how it's done. It's finished. It's an amazing feeling when that happens. Like there's no ill will against anybody, even if somebody had done something, whatever. There's like no ill will. It's like there's something. What if a person said that was not invited and won't move on? Well, then you have to be the one that moves on. So Terry says, Kellee, so very recently a person that was not very nice to me passed. That's a big one. He had the ugliest, most painful death. Wow. He didn't seem to be at peace with anything. I was not wishing him that kind of suffering, but I did wonder if it was karma. I would have to say, his souls choose an interesting things to experience, and he was a mean person. It sounds that way, that could be considered karma for sure. For sure. It's a good question, and I'd probably say yeah on that one. Yeah. Wendy says, does that mean that the same people surround me? I want to say certain things, but know that a person would be defensive. Should I just say fuck it? That means totally letting go and forget therapy. Done. No, you work on yourself, Wendy. You work on yourself. You can let go of the entanglements that you've had, but then you work on yourself. So I think therapy is really important, and I think that it helps you see things clearer and get real strong boundaries with that. Those are what I call the people that have been the most challenging are my greatest teachers. I've learned so much, and I'm an empath, and as empaths, it can be a giant struggle because there's the pleasing aspect. I feel that this person is going to go off. It's all of those above. And then when you get to a certain place where I think I'm constantly striving to be there, and life is it's like that. It's a constant striving. It's not like one and done. I mean, it just isn't from my experience. Just have to keep going. Ann Margaret says, Kellee, 2026 is my year of boundaries. It is working, but boy, oh boy, at a price, not easy. So there's a price for setting boundaries. Your freedom. It's the best thing best thing you can do is set a boundary. Yeah, you might be alone. You may not have anybody around, but your soul, you're getting free from all of that. And it's the most important thing to love thyself, to love yourself, and to take care of yourself like that is everything. Right. Dear universe, I'm done with karma loop, right? And while you're eating cereal, that's hilarious. Thank you, Wendy. Yvonne says, could all this planet action cause dizziness and ringing in the ears? Yep, yep, yep. Yvonne, absolutely. Great question. And yes, it certainly can. It certainly can. Um, it's funny. I've had more people say that to me lately. It's now that I think about it. Yeah. Thank you, Elle. I appreciate that. Oh, thanks. Debbie says it's the best place ever to share with each other. I love it. Thank you, Debbie. I hope you join us tomorrow for our 5 o'clock somewhere. Wish I could join you on Fridays at 5 o'clock. It would be a howl. And Margaret, you're invited anytime. But please post the link. So the link to the Qigong, because it wasn't posted there, Anne Margaret, there was a problem, but it is there now. So if you go to the top of the things, you will see it. Gail says, I never had a healthy relationship with my mom. And when she died, I had people in my family trying to guilt me into going to see her so she could be at peace. Oh my God, no kidding. Oh, Gail, I'm so sorry. Still wondering, why didn't they encourage her to reach out to me? People are, I guess I could say the word dumb. Can I say that? People are unconscious. They go by an old script. That's an old script. You gotta, listen, you know what the relationship was with your mom. You get it. Now I can tell you from the other side, she'd be working to heal it. She'd be working her ass off to heal it. But when people do stuff like that, please don't drink that Kool-Aid. Just don't. You know the relationship, right? You know what it is. Okay. And I'm glad you got to calm down. That's good. It is my color. Blue is my color. Gayla, you're going to be in Japan in May. I'm so excited for you, Gayla. That is so exciting. Okay, Melissa says, what about putting blame on people? Is that karma? Because it's you want to just break all the patterns. You just want to break it, all of it, Melissa. It's like you don't. Nobody needs to be a victim anymore. And I can put a lot of blame on a lot of people in my life, and instead, and I have, believe me, I have. And then I just took responsibility and said, doesn't matter. Now it doesn't matter. I've learned a lot and I have moved forward. So that's the place. Michelle says, I love the app. We have a great community of people. Oh, thank you. Oh, I do have a great store. Thanks for reminding me, Michelle. I have a store on my website, kelleewhite.com. And my April calendar is out now, too, before I forget. My April calendar is out. So if you want to have a session with me, go to kelleewhite.com. And I have great crystals and do-it-yourself kits. Thank you, Michelle, for reminding me. Oh, my God. I forgot about that. We've got some great stuff on there. Lisa Marshall says, can it be a karmic experience that we are born into? Absolutely. And then the live what we learn part also creates and adds to the repeating of some relations throughout the life. Yes, Lisa, that's exactly it. You got it. That's it. Exactly. We choose a family out of a karmic experience. We choose this mother, this father. What do I need to work out? What do I need this? What family will I learn abuse? What family will I learn forgiveness? What family will I learn the big ticket items, especially now in this particular lifetime, because the energy not only set for exposures to things, but I mean exposures to getting the help you need. You may be the one in the family, as we talked about the other day, the black sheep, which is really the white sheep, if you ask me, that says, okay, I'm done. I've taken on all the karma of all of you nut jobs. I'm done. I'm out. And I'm going to live my life separately and in a different way. And that takes a lot of balls and it takes a lot of courage. Let me tell you, being on Earth, period, give yourself a big congratulations. It's hard. It's hard to be on Earth. It's a tough place to be, but it is the most amazing place to be able to set boundaries and breathe and learn and go forward and let go of all the things that you've been carrying. That's the important part of Earth at this time. So Evie says, I feel like I attract the same kind of people that are very needy with negativity, that must say something about me, who rescues them but drains my energy. So you recognize the pattern, Evie? Now that you recognize it, the intent for you would be not to do that anymore. You feel somebody's coming, you can see them. Listen, I could see them miles away, universes away at this point. Put a no to that. Like, nope. I always say no first, and then I think about it, and then I might do it or may not do it. But you've got to break the pattern. Only you can break the pattern. You have your own ruby slippers. You can make a change. You can do it. I believe in you. You can do it. Anna says, my oldest grandchild is 13 and experiencing depression and self-harm. I worry that my own experience close to that age is a reoccurring pattern. How can we break this pattern? First of all, Anna, the fact that you recognize that, and it can be a reoccurring pattern, here's what you can do. Get that child into therapy immediately. Immediately. Go to psychology.com, find a therapist there. If you can't afford a therapist, go to any of the schools near you, the local colleges, the grad schools. They take people at a very low fee. Do that. Get them into therapy now so you can start breaking the pattern, because I suspect when you were 13, that was not an option for you. Okay. Okay. Melissa says, what about people who are an empath or a narcissist or highly sensitive? Does that count for karma? No, that's a gift, Melissa. That's a gift. You earned that one. If you are an empath, I'm not talking about a narcissist, but if you are an empath, that's a gift. And I did a meditation on that. I taught a class on that on Saturday. It is it's a big one, Melissa. And it's the biggest gift you can have, is to have understanding and compassion for somebody else. It's amazing that you can do that. Okay. Candy says, how does this work with the administration we live under? Well, it puts a lot of pressure for you to deal with your own stuff, because your issues will come up. So from that aspect, there you go. Laura says, I have a brother that all he does is blame, blame, blame. Oh, join the club. He is stuck in his loop all his life. Yeah. There are people in my family that do the same thing. And it's okay. It is very sad. And Laura, you're such an old soul and you recognize it. It's funny. People can make different choices. They can choose to continue that broken record, and then they'll just be back again. They'll be back again. Here we go. Back again, back again. I always tell my family, look, I'm not coming back. So get your act together or not. Doesn't matter to me. Literally, peace out. So think like that, Laura. Okay. If only all humans had empathy. I said that at my Saturday class. There's only about 3% or less of the population that are empaths. Think about that. Think about the majority that are not. So if the empaths have a duty, if they can, to try to help humanity, but with strong boundaries. That is everything. Yeah, September 26th is a Jack of Hearts. That's a birthday that requires to know themselves really, really well. It's a sensitive birth date. It's a very sensitive. He's probably, or he or she is a healer. So that's extraordinary. It's one of my favorite birth dates, by the way. But anyway, Maura says, thank you for the empath. Oh, you're so welcome, Maura. Okay. Kim says, when you read Bunny's book and the things that her parents and other families went through, it really is an argument for family constellation. I thought that, Kim. So we had Carrie Gonia, who's a wonderful, wonderful family constellation practitioner. I think she's the best in the country. She's really, really good. And she was on our show on Tuesday. And Carrie and Shirley and I talked after the show. We're going to be doing a Zoom event probably towards the end of the year, maybe, I don't know, November. And the other thing that I want to mention before I forget, it's not set in stone yet, but around August, mid-August, Shirley and I are going to be doing a live event, like a 3-hour live event, Psychology in the Soul, in the Chicago area. Thank you, Rose. Thank you. Okay. Ralph says, I cut the forced proverbial cord, but this person's projected energy is relentless. So I have this thing about the proverbial cord. I like the way you put that, actually, because, you have to do the work on yourself. And then some people are really hard to walk away from because they've got it's almost like tentacles in you from your own traumas. And that's when you have to do the work on yourself the hardest and literally make all new, boundaries, and then really set those boundaries and then, make different choices. Boundaries are everything. Oh, you're welcome, everybody. Okay, Wendy says, Kelly, therapy just doesn't work. Too much damage. Basically, I'm a happy person because I get up every day and thank God for this. Health is everything, both mentally and physical. Okay. Well, some people it does. Some people it may not. Okay, does too much damage for you? I'm sorry, Wendy. Okay, okay, Gloria, to just put everything in perspective, yes. And then yes, Renee, great question. Karma does turn into dharma. Yes. If you work through your issues as much as you can, and then as you are positively affected by going through a lot of your traumas and releasing and moving forward and all of these things, then what happens is you find your dharma. Your dharma is really your responsibility for doing the work that you've come to do on earth. It's that dharmic piece. I had to go through a lot of traumas, read my book, Cracked Open. I went through a lot of trauma to get to where I am now. This didn't just happen overnight. Okay, so yeah, it eventually leads you to your dharmic work. Okay, and please, everybody, take the class on Sunday with Maggie. She's the greatest teacher. I'm not kidding you. She's a great teacher. Oh, Nadine, honey, I'm so glad to see you here. Oh my gosh, from Austria. Hi. I hope I answered as many questions as I could. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, Debbie, you had a boundary. You had a set of abuse from sisters and a mother. Does make you feel so much better. As I'm telling you, you learn everything. You learn everything. When you set a boundary, whew, it can be so powerful. Your whole life can change. All right, everybody, I've got to go. So I'll see you next Tuesday. Guess what? I have to tell you something. Shirley and I are talking about, we have a really good thing. We're going to be talking about dreams. I have to find what we're talking about because it's a good one. Okay. So on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about decoding dreams, which is, something I love to do. So you don't want to miss that. So sending you guys all kinds of love, and I will see you next week. Take care, my friends. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Ask Me Anything, featuring spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.